Hi everyone, this is Jess. I'm here with for today's online tools for collaboration training with our 1U digital training program. Hopefully you can see what's on the screen, and if you can't hear me, make sure that you call in for that, for our audio. If you can't hear me and sound's doing okay, press 1. Press 1 if you can hear me. Press 1.
I don't see anything. Oh, yes, I do.
Press 1 if you can hear me. Okay,
yep,
great. Folks can hear me. Awesome. Just wanted to make sure I'm not talking to no one. So we're going to talk today about different online tools that you can use to collaborate with your team and make your work both easier to for many hands to work on, and also to make sure that it's easy to share and provide transparency in your work. So this is a thing that here at the AFL-CIO Digital Strategies team we take very, very seriously. 3 of our team values are transparency, and for us that means sharing information as widely as possible. We sort of have a policy of sharing over not sharing, and that extends to other departments, but also extends to each other. We keep everybody in the loop about various projects, even if it doesn't have to do with their day-to-day work, because we know that so much of our work is connected here in our team. One of our second values is collaboration, and we do that not only in trying to have brainstorms so that everyone can be a part of the beginning stages of creativity, but also things like making sure that we use online tools that allow everyone to see and share documents and information and assets to make it easier for us to stay on brand, to stay also with the same messaging and tone and voice in our content. And finally, our third one is commitment to excellence, and we do all of this with the understanding that we want to put out the best product possible. So today I'm going to talk about how that manifests itself in the tools that we use, and the first tool that I'll talk about is Google Docs and Google Drive. So how many of you have used Google Drive or Google Docs before? Press 1.
Three.
Awesome. So can you tell me, let's press 2. Great. Let's press 2 to tell me how you use Google Docs. Press 2 to tell me how you use Google Docs at your workplace. Press 2. We'll just call on you if you don't tell us. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to call on Kyla. Kyla, I'm making your mic up now. Can you tell me how you use Google Docs in your workplace?
Yeah, sure. We use Google Forms to collect information, and then we also use Google Docs to collaborate on documents.
Awesome. And right now, actually, what you're going to see is that I'm going to actually take notes as folks tell me how they use it. This is something that we do on our team in meetings to make sure that everybody has all of the information. Thanks, Kyle. I'm putting you on mute again. Robin, can you tell me how you use or have used Google Drive or Google Docs in your workplace? Robin, you're mic'd. Go for it. No? Oh, hi, Robin.
Sorry, I'm also unmuting at my place. Just collaboration.
Can you be more specific, like for what?
For our clients. We share matrix and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How about you, Heidi? You're mic'd. How do you all use Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Tools?
Yes, we use Google Docs and Google Tools, sharing a lot of things, kind of in the classroom too.
How do you use it in the classroom?
We share documents back and forth between teachers and students. Back.
Awesome. So I'll talk about the ways that we, some of the additional ways that we do this. So one of the huge ways that we do is through notes. So a really easy way to that you can make sure that people get alerted about things is in Google Docs. You can also insert comments. So John is is one of the folks that I work with on digital trainings. I can actually tag him when I have ideas or things I want him specifically to know by saying @ and then there he is, G Goltz. And it'll actually let him know, you'll see right here, your plus mention will add people to this post and send him an email. So then we can make 100% sure that he's kind of getting that information. And that can be especially helpful when you're in meetings or you think of things later on that you want to make sure to tell folks as you go back to your notes. Here's another piece that not everybody knows about in Google Docs that can be really helpful. You can actually join in group chat. So this can be a really good way, especially if your team is remote. So we have team members that are some of them are here, some of them are other places. We use Google Chat to sort of chat in real time, and people can chat together. You can pop that window out so that it stays in the doc or doesn't stay in the doc. There you go. Now it's popped out, and John's responding back to me. So that can be a really helpful piece. Another helpful piece to know about Google Docs, you'll see here that this sidebar, what you can actually see is the amount that how folks have edited the docs. So you can see the different levels and different people who have added notes. And a really important thing to know about Google Docs is that you have the ability to really keep these changes here. So if you want people to be able to edit in real time in the doc, then anyone who has the link can edit. But also they can comment and view, and that forces them to make comments, which also keep those comments just as they are here really clearly right here. So that is one of the really helpful ways I think that you can use docs. Some of those are a little bit like 2.0 tips that we try to give people. So let me show you some of the ways that we've used Google Docs here to kind of get a lot of folks. So here is the first one. So for May Day in 2014 was a really big day for us. We do docs like this, which are social media documents that anyone can be part of and use. It gives folks a lot of different information that they can get and really easily copy and paste that. You'll note that anybody who has the link can actually edit this one. And this is because we were having multiple people do edits inside of this, but there are some that are, here we go, here's a good example. This is not AFL-CIO, but another group that I am part of. This is not just for anyone to use. So you'll note that we branded at the top, we gave information, and then continued to add as we were creating things kind of in real time. So for a rapid response moment, very, very helpful. And so you'll see we just kept adding pieces. This habit is also, so that way Google Docs can be really helpful for rapid response moments so that anyone can keep adding things in. But there's also different ways that we use, to do plans and stuff like that to edit. So I'm going to show you how this works when we do emails. So this is an email that we were sending. Let me try and do one where we haven't cleaned it up. So sometimes when we do this, before we clean up everything, this is a little preview of an email that we're sending. We send emails just like this, and we always send them the same way. We do sender, we do subject line, we show how it's going to look, and then additionally we also add, here's another version of the email we're going to send, and you'll see all that text is there. There we go, and then there are comments from folks. So sometimes those are positive, sometimes they're negative. Then we also send petition pages, share pages, any other kind of content that we want to send so that everyone can have that content more than just on the email. So this is really critical for us because many people have their hands in our work, and it allows any of those people, in case they pick that up, to be able to edit in a place that is always current. So I find that with Microsoft Word documents, this is really challenging because people are using the wrong version, or they didn't save, or things kind of overlapped in the email stream. So this allows us to edit documents in real time in a way that is much clearer and keeps everything together. So we can actually keep adding here. We can add other social language. We can add links to petitions and other pieces like that. We can add short links and short codes. And it also allowed us, so this is an email that we're sending in relation to Walmart and AFT stuff. So it also allows us to get people from outside our organization to send. So you'll see that Jamie, who works at USCW, has also given a comment. So really, really easy to share, which is, super important in Google Docs. And then another piece that we use is to try to do open source tools for folks. So you'll see here that this is a tool, a digital tools you can use list that we started, and I'll make sure to put this in our doc from the training. And you'll note that anyone can edit, and it's shared with a lot of different people. And this is, we went out to all of the folks that we work with and said, how do you use Google Doc? What tools are really helpful to you that you can use? Let's put it in Google Doc. So it's a crowdsourced list. Anyone can add. Just a little bit here. So I could imagine a bunch of different ways that this could help. So people could report things in real time from events, say. They could, maybe there's like, tell us your thoughts about the reading, if you're a teacher or whatever. So there are lots of different ways that you can use this to kind of give people in real time. Many people can add, and it's also a reference that they can come back to over and over again, which I think is really helpful. It's a little more permanent than some of these other pieces that are about emails or about share kits that are over. So those are the ways that we kind of experiment with Google Docs. We also have folders. So you'll note here that we made a folder and we put all of the information in there. So this allows us to share all of our assets. And anyone can access. So similarly, we were working with Working America. We made a shared Google Drive on this Boston canvas, and here's every single document. And that allows it so that no matter who has the, as long as you're happy sharing all that information with everyone, it means that anybody can get access to that stuff. It makes it so much easier to ensure that all of that information is available when people want it, and also makes it easier to find afterwards, so it's not just in your email inbox. Okay, now we're going to talk about Basecamp. How many of you have heard of Basecamp? Press 3 if you've heard of Basecamp before. No one's heard of Basecamp before. Okay, that's great. So Basecamp is...
there's a one.
One person has heard of Basecamp before. Okay, so Basecamp is a project management tool. So there are a ton of project management tools, and I'm going to put some of them here, just so you are aware of others. So Basecamp is one, but so is Asana. It's expensive, but people really like it. Another one's called Trello. Google Docs can also be a project management system through Google Calendar and other pieces. If you have others that you know of, feel free to press 3. Feel free to press 3 if you have others that you know of, and we'll mic you. Press 3 if you know of other project management systems that are in use. Doesn't look like anyone's pressing 3. Totally fine. We're going to teach you about them all right now, so no worries. Okay, so those are some other ones. I want you to know about those in case you are like, I hate Basecamp, but I still want to use project management tools. So feel free to go look those up. So here at the AFL, on the Digital Strategies team, we have so many projects and so many documents and so much information to share that we really needed a place where we could all get together and be able to use these tools and kind of have a clearinghouse for information. We're kind of still on our Basecamp journey, but a few things to note about project management systems. It doesn't matter what project management system you use, everyone really has to commit to it. If everybody doesn't really commit to it, it can be challenging for it to be, useful to your team because nothing, you have the tool, but nothing's really in there. Another piece is that you really have to be cool with radical transparency. I have access to a ton of different projects here because of my role on the team. I'm not involved in every single one of those projects, but I do have access to that information if I need it. So you'll note here's the font. I'm not the only person in font, but I have a ton of access to it. So for instance, our social media team makes all their graphics here. I don't always do things with the graphics, but here I have access to all that information. If you're the kind of office where you have a challenge with that, I would definitely suggest first starting to really agree to transparency and information sharing, and then move into that project management piece. So here's how we do sort of project management stuff. So let me find one that is a good one. Okay, so here we go. Labor 2014. So this is our Labor 2014 work here. So you'll see that we have the ability to have, so you can make a project. So I'll just actually start from scratch and make a new project. So you can share it with anyone on your team. So in this case, I'm going to share it with my colleague, John. You name the project, and then you give a little bit of information about the project. And if there are other folks that are involved, say other affiliates or other clients, you can actually turn on client access and invite other people. So I'm going to invite my personal email. And those folks can see different types of information, but not all of the information. So now here we have our project. So I can add a discussion. So I can start a discussion. So, and this sort of like is a place for us to talk about, different pieces and have folks be able to respond. It's not unlike email, but sometimes you want to be able to see everyone's responses together. And you'll see, do I want to show this message to the client? Let's say I don't want to show this message to a client. 3 people, so it's me, Anthony, who's the administrator of our Basecamp sort of instance, and John can see it. But I can also choose who can get an email. So maybe I only want John to get that email and not Anthony. Or maybe I just want to post the message and not get to Basecamp. So, and then people can respond here. And that is how we're able to have discussions. So those can happen in a bunch of different ways, and then you'll note my response. So it threads that response. And we can delete that, we can copy it, we can edit it if I have like things I want to change, or we can move it to another project. So it can be super, super helpful. And you'll see you can see minute by minute history for that message to be able to see. So I'm going to delete that discussion. Yes, delete that. Cool. So then I can also make to-do lists. So one of my favorite, I'm going to go into another project to show you how these to-do lists work. One of my favorite projects, things about to-do lists, is that you can actually really see how things work in a way that is helpful for both the person managing the project and the people who have the project. So you'll know here we go, we have 2 to-do lists, and I can add a to-do list here so that each part of the project can have a to-do list, and it can be added to a person, and then they have a date attached to them. So it automatically sends them reminders for those to-do lists. And you can also edit that so that you're not just, giving people arbitrary to-do lists. So here we go. So I'm going to add a to-do list. We're going to call it Get Stuff Done. I'm going to save that list and then start adding tasks here. So I have the ability to add this to-do, and you'll know that it comes unassigned. I can actually assign it to someone. In this case, I'm going to assign it to John, and it's going to be due tomorrow. And now John's going to get an alert that it's due and when it's due, and then reminders about it being to do. So it can be really helpful. And when it's done, you just check that it's done, and then it says it's completed and when it was completed. You could also get rid of it in case it changes. There you go. That's that piece there. And then you can add to-do lists. So multiple trainings can be added there, and now I can save. So really, I think that's one of the most successful pieces that allow you to be able to really work together. And then there's also a calendar. So your project has a calendar. So I'm going to go here to our calendar. So you'll know that I have access to a bunch of different calendars that I can see. And when I take them away here, they go away. So I'm going to take off the team calendar. Now the orange went away. I'm going to take off the blue calendar. Now the blue went away. So you'll see that lots of different things we can add here. And I can also add events. So events. And then I have a note. It could be due at any time. I can add it to any of these calendars. And I can also say how long it begins and ends and if it repeats. And email anyone I want to get that. And so it can show up on the calendar. And then finally, once I go through my project, there you go. I can also add documents. So you can save documents. So almost like a Google Docs right in there. You can do it real time. And then you can also add files. And anyone can see those files. So to show you an example of how that works, I'm going to go to our Labor 2014. So you'll see here that we have a ton of different files that we have. And anyone can have access to those files and get that information. So anyone with access to the project is able to see that, which can be really helpful, and you have a bunch of different views that you have of that. So that's Basecamp. Before we move on, if anyone has questions, press 3. Press 3 if you have questions about Basecamp or any of the other project management systems. I'd love to be able to answer those. Press 3 if you have questions. What do you think are the challenges that you all would have in trying to get that to be useful in your workplace? Press 3 if you're able to talk about the challenges. What would the challenges be in doing something and using something like Basecamp? I'll just call on you if you don't press 3. So I'm going to call on Jocelyn. Jocelyn, you are mic'd. What would be the challenges of using something like a project management tool for you all?
It already is that everyone has to commit. So some people do it and some people don't. I work on the paid family leave and paid sick days campaigns in New York City.
Uh-huh.
And it's all, disparate organizations. No one works in like the same office. So
yeah.
I really am trying to get people to use Google Docs.
Yeah.
Pretty universally. But there is not a universal buy-in, which is problematic.
Yeah.
For example, my colleagues are supposed to be on this call today, and Robin is. Thank you, Robin. But some other people are not.
Okay, so some small political work to do before we can get to docs, but we're trying. That's great. And one of the things that the successes that we've had with getting folks to use with getting folks to be able to kind of commit to using is what we decided to do here on the AFL team, because we had folks who were extremely against this. They didn't understand. They were like, I already use stuff. I don't want to have one more thing to add. All things I've heard before in trying to do something like this is we agreed to a 2-week trial period where we would use this kind of thing, and then after that we kind of assessed what was working and what wasn't. Your mileage may vary on how long of a time you do, but that is one tip I have for using, for trying to get people to buy in. Okay, Lorraine, how about you? What do you think the challenges are in getting folks in your workplace to use some of this kind of project management software or work? You're mic'd. Lorraine, you're mic'd?
I think, getting people on the same page, like the previous person discussed, is trying to get everybody interested in collaborating together.
Yeah,
so we have a lot of different organizations that we're trying to do coalition building.
Yep.
And using online collaboration would be very helpful.
Yeah, totally. And that is something that we absolutely have challenges with here at the AFL, because we, of course, are a federation of folks. So definitely understand that. Okay, so I'm going to move on from Basecamp and talk about Doodle. So one of my biggest pet peeves as an organizer is that people here at the AFL-CIO are almost allergic to using calendars. They like to send emails through like scheduling threads, and so then there'll be a thread with like 9 people on it, and it'll be like, hey, can you meet at 1 o'clock? And then there'll be 15 emails about how we can't meet at 1 o'clock. And of course they can't. People are very busy. So I like to use Doodle, and then I'm also going to talk about if you use Outlook in your workplace. How many of you use Outlook? Press 1 if you use Outlook. Press 1. Anyone use Outlook? 1 person use Outlook. 2 people. 4 people. Great. Great. Okay, lots of folks use Outlook. Great. I'm going to put hands down here for a second. How many of you use Scheduling Assistant on your Outlook? Press 1 if you use Scheduling Assistant on your Outlook. Press 1, press 1, press 1. Hooray! People use Scheduling Assistant. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I am on a crusade to get people to use Scheduling Assistant. I believe that our movement will be better. And I'll also talk about Doodle. So Doodle is a way to schedule an event. Have any of you used Doodle before? Press 1 if you used Doodle before. Yes, people use Doodle. People have used Doodle. Some people. Great. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, so what you do is you schedule an event. It's super free and easy. So you say, we have a conference call. Where is it going to be? It's going to be at the AFL-CIO. You'll note that it automatically brings up an address for that. There's a description where you can say kind of what that is. You give your name, I'm Jess. Your email address, J. Morales. Oops. Great. Now I'm going to go next. So then you'll note that you could say, what dates do I want to have the call? All right, I want to have the call on Friday. Cool, but I could also say on Saturday. Now I decide what times I want. So do I want to do 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock? Do I also want to add a 4 o'clock option? I say add further time slots. Now it just added more. I can also copy and paste the first row into the second row. Now you'll note that I can have it on 3 or 4, right? And then you could also do different times. So maybe I want to also do a 3:30 start time. There we go. So if you switch on time zone support, it'll actually show it to you in the time zone. So you could say I want to do it in any country, on any time. Super, super helpful. So, okay, great. Now we have our time zones. Now I'll set it up. So you'll see I'm going to use my basic poll, and I can send invitations to people to fill that out. And here we go. There is my doodle. And now people can fill it out, and they can tell me what times they can go. Jess can go at these times. And what will happen is you'll see that it'll show you sort of how, and now you'll see, there we go. I can show up at these times, but I can't show up at these times. And other people can add here, and then you'll be able to know how many people can actually meet. Right here it's showing 1, but if we added more people, I'm going to add Jocelyn. Jocelyn can come at this time and this time and this time, but not the other times. Great, now Jocelyn's been submitted, and you'll note that. There we go, now we can see how many people. So it's really helpful because it shows you when the most number of people can actually be added to your call. Scheduling Assistant also works in a really similar way. So I'm going to show you in Outlook, but I'm going to do it with remote access. So give me 1 second. Okay, so when I use Scheduling Assistant, it really allows me to see what other folks' calendars are like. So I want to do a new meeting request. People can see this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I want to do a new meeting request. Go away. Yes, okay. New meeting, cool. And I'm going to go to Scheduling System. So I'm going to add John and my boss, Rachel. She's got a lot of meetings. I always need to work with her. And Andrew. So, there we go, and Nicole. So you'll note that what I'm able to see is what times their schedule is full or not full. So let's say I want to have a meeting next week. I know I can't have it at 11. I know I can't have it at 12, but we are free at 1. And you'll see it'll say 4 of 4 3 or 3 of 3 free. So very, very helpful. And Doodle sort of works the same way. Any questions? If you have any questions about those, press 1. Questions, press 1.
No questions.
Awesome. And then my last thing is chat. So we have used a bunch of different chat clients here at the AFL. The first one that we really used was Google Chat, so just through GChat, and we had like a chat that we use. Now we use something called HipChat. There are a bunch of different free options. HipChat is a paid option because we have so many people. It's useful for us, but you could also use Skype. That's a free option. You could use there's just a bunch of different options that you have. And you'll note that what we can do is create all kinds of things. And we have all kinds of different. So this one is about Game of Thrones. This one's about one of our colleagues who's getting married. But then there's also ones that are about campaigns, creativity. There's a blog one. There's one about Renew UI. And then this is our water cooler one that's just like our general team chat that everyone's allowed to be in. You can have private rooms. This one's for on Thursdays we send pictures to each other, which is pretty funny. This one's for our social media team where we kind of share with one another. And anyone can chat. So I'm going to go into our water cooler. And you'll know that it integrates with Basecamp. And you can actually tag people. So I'm tagging my friend, my colleague Anthony, my colleague Nicole. There we go. And people respond in real time. And they're able, and then they'll get a little notification either via email or on the chat that they're talking. So there we go. Mark, he said hi back to me. So we chat about basically everything and find that to be a very, very helpful way for us to interact with one another. People use it kind of at different times and in different ways, but all of us are able to really talk. There we go. Gavin says hello. All of us are really able to talk with each other and both have an informal but also a formal way to talk together. I find that to be a super helpful way for us to work. So I'm also going to add HipChat in our collaborative doc here for you all to have it later on in Doodle. So that is kind of the basics of our of some of the ways that we do this work. I'd love to hear from you all about specific challenges that you have that you're hoping get addressed that I may not have addressed, or other tools that you're using. And you can definitely add them to this doc. It's a really helpful way. So press 1 if you want to ask a really specific question about collaboration, or if you have a thing that you're using that you want to share. Press 1. Awesome. Tina, you are mic'd. What is your specific question?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. Just wondering what kind of, everybody seems to share the problem in terms of getting buy-in and collaboration. I could see where we can get people started, but then they'll just kind of drop off because they choose not to do it. Any suggestions or best practices?
Sure. That? Yes, and I would love to hear also from others if they have thoughts on that as well. So press 2 if you have thoughts about buy-in. Here's what I'll say how we did it. So one, we invited people to tell, so the way that we kind of did this was like a journey to get to a place where we could kind of be more collaborative like that. The first step was we invited people to tell us what they felt like were problems that we had. So if one of those was like sharing organization or information, and another one was like, working together, or another one was like, well, there seems like there's a lot of assets, but I don't have access to them. So we made a list of what those problems were. Then we talked about ways we thought we could fix those problems. Some of them were not tools, right? Some of them were just like, you need to get on the conference call, but we need to send out a reminder for the conference call, right? Other ones of them were tools. And so then we started saying, okay, well, let's address this first problem, and it's about sharing of assets. And we're going to address that by setting up a sharing of files, and we'll just share files. We did that for a little while. Then we tried to address the second, kind of third, fourth problems. So a bunch of those were able, I think taking it in chunks allowed us to sort of prove that if we address one problem and did collaboratively with technology or other ways, that we could really fix an issue, and that opened up people to be a part of, wanting to be a part of the solution more times. I think the second time is we really knew that it was uncomfortable for some people to use it. So we kind of forced people to use it by making sure to put information that they needed there, and so they couldn't get it anywhere else. And that really forced people to go into the tools and start using them. And then I think the third thing that we did is we really started trying to use discussions more, especially in Basecamp. Basecamp was one of the hardest ones and still is the hardest one for people to use. And the way that we did that is we would start discussions. They would show up in people's email boxes and they would respond to them. And that really helped us get started with using Basecamp more and kind of set us on the path towards getting that to work. Tina, did you have more questions there? Okay.
Oh, those are some good ideas.
Great. Jocelyn, you're mic'd. Any thoughts you want to share? Questions you have?
Actually, I had a question because another one of the challenges I think we have is that different members of our team have different levels of comfort with the technology.
Yep.
So do you have any recommendations like read like online Google Doc tutorials?
Yeah. So what
we go that's like Google 101.
Yeah. So Google themselves have a pretty robust like 101. But the second thing that we actually did is we did a training. We did a team-wide training. We did multiple team-wide trainings before we started using it to ensure that everyone knew. We have wildly divergent technology comfort levels on our team. Some folks barely use it. And, they just use their email, and it's not even a robust use of email. It's to send and receive email, and that's it. And some people are really technology buffs. They're so wired. So we had that was probably one of our biggest challenges. And we did both group trainings and then smaller group trainings and sometimes even one-on-one trainings to ensure folks were able to feel comfortable at the level they needed to be to perform their job. Other questions? Press one if you have questions. No questions.
One question. 2 questions.
Oh.
3 questions.
Great. 3 questions. Okay. Kyla, you are mic'd. What's your question?
Do you have a chance to talk a little bit about Google Groups and using them and people? Do you use that in terms of combining the mailing list?
Yeah. So typically, we have a group that we use called LaborCom, and if you're not on it, you should be on it. That is a Google group that basically anybody who sort of identifies as a digital communicator in the labor movement can be on. That list, is very useful. People share a lot of information there. It has moderators. I highly recommend having moderators. And then some other Google groups like press releases groups and stuff like that I think are really helpful. I think the key to those groups is when moderators are really strong, they help guide conversation. Without that, it just becomes a dumping ground for stuff that nobody really reads. But I think they can be super helpful in sharing information for sure. Tina, question? You are mic'd.
First of all, what was the name of the Google Docs group you just mentioned?
The Google group is LaborCom, LaborComm.
LaborCom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you get to it how? Just going through the Google?
Yeah, so you go to Google Groups. I need to, I can send everyone after this the link to join it. But Google Groups, you can just, it's like very easy to join groups, and then you have your groups. You can create groups and invite people to kind of be members, and you can make them public or private. So they are definitely a very useful collaboration tool.
Mike?
Sorry, go ahead. One more time, go ahead.
That's how private is private with Google and Google Docs. But we were possibly looking at using it for to kind of strengthen our building rep system in terms of putting some things out there so they're always there for them to use. But there are some concerns about, the security in terms of other people seeing it, the people we don't want to see it. So I'm just wondering, how secure is that?
Well, I mean, it's secure as anything is on the internet. I wouldn't put out state secrets in there, but they're extremely, I mean, it's Google, so the security and privacy infrastructure is the best that there is. If you make them invite only, then it invites whoever you want to invite, and you can deny whoever you want to deny. Other questions? Press 1 if you have questions. Press 1. No questions? Yes, I knew someone would have one. All right, Jocelyn, hit us. What do you got?
I was just wondering if you have materials from the trainings, from the Google trainings that you would be able to share. It's literally like Google has a help section. Like Google, you should Google trainings, and they have a help section. They have videos and step by steps that are very, very comprehensive. That's what we used. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That's all that we have for today. If you have more questions, you should go. You can email me at jmorales@aflcio.org. And, of course, we have all of our trainings available at aflcio.org/digital trainings. Thanks so much for joining us, and hope to see you on some other trainings. We'll send out this Google Doc link and links to some of the other stuff right after this training. And if you definitely have more specific questions, happy to answer those. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay. Go ahead and hit the recording again, or I can do it.
I have to get on another conference call right now.